So thank you very much. Proud to stand here with our allies with Environment Florida, with the OFA, Organizing for Action, and Tampa Bay Sierra Club Group. My name is Tim Heberlein, and I am the organizing representative for the Beyond Coal campaign. And we are glad to stand and thank our president for what is the biggest rule that any president has ever done to combat climate change. Before the Clean Power Plan, polluters had the ability to pump unlimited amounts of carbon dioxide into the air, the #1 pollutant linked to climate change. By establishing carbon pollution protections, President Obama and the EPA are beginning the essential work of cleaning up and modernizing the way we power our country. According to the new rule, Florida will cut its emissions in the power sector by 25% by 2030, and we will have until September 2016 to submit a state plan for our environment to the Environmental Protection Agency. Deeper investments in clean energy like solar and energy efficiency will free Floridians from dirty and dangerous and outdated forms of energy production like coal burning. The rule also gives extreme flexibility in how we meet these goals. Using the 4 building blocks outlined in the plan, Florida can choose its own energy future. It means a huge opportunity for clean energy to flourish in a state that has been blessed with copious amounts of solar resources and energy efficiency opportunities. Implementation of a strong, comprehensive clean power plan means jobs for our state, including more than 10,000 new jobs in energy efficiency alone. More people are employed in clean energy than coal in this country, and that's over 130,000 jobs in Florida alone, 14,000 businesses, according to Clean Jobs Florida. A new also just coming out last week is a poll from public policy polling, surveying voters from 8 swing states, and found that the majority of Floridians favor the plan limiting carbon pollution. The poll also tells members of Congress that support for climate change measures is becoming less politicized, 63% saying they would support and not impact negatively on their member of Congress. This poll can be sent to you digitally if you ask for it. And speaking of support, we have a diverse group of speakers to present a wide spectrum of support for the Clean Power Plan. I want to introduce our Tampa Bay Club group chair, community leader on the environment, Kent Bailey, to introduce our speakers. Kent?
Hi. Thank you very much, Tim. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the folks for coming out this morning, and also thank the many volunteers for Sierra Club that make this kind of event possible. And I want to thank the speakers for being here today, and we especially want to thank Councilman Reddick for his support on the Clean Power Plan. Thank you very much. And we want to thank Congresswoman Kathy Castor, who has represented here Stephen Angotti. Thank you very much for the Congresswoman's support. She's been a real strong defender in Washington of the EPA and supporter of the Clean Power Plan. The first speaker this morning will be Sean Shaw. As a Florida Insurance Commissioner Advocate in Florida, Mr. Shaw has made a substantial contribution to Merrill Law Group's depth of knowledge regarding insurance policy advocacy. Practicing out of the firm's Tampa office, Sean continues to maintain a strong presence in Tallahassee, working hard to ensure that legislation regarding property insurance is fair to all policyholders. Sean Shaw believes that being an advocate inside and outside of the courtroom is appropriate, which is why he is here today. He is going to address climate change and how this will affect policyholders in Florida. Please welcome Sean Shaw.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. I'm Sean Shaw, and I'm here to talk about insurance and climate change, which may be a little boring here, but it's very important to everybody's pocketbook. You know, insurance companies believe that climate change can actually bankrupt their industry, and the insurance industry is approaching a $1 trillion industry. The insurance industry believes so much that this is a big deal that they've actually filed lawsuits against cities who have not done enough, in their opinion, to prevent the effects of climate change. I tell you that not to defend insurance companies, but I tell you that to tell you how big of a deal this is to them. And when something is a big deal to insurance companies, and when something makes insurance companies nervous, guess what that does to your pocketbook? It increases your premiums. And that's what's happened here in Florida. Florida is always one of the top 5 states in the country in terms of premiums that we pay. Not only that, here in Florida, we can't even get insurance companies to write business. the State Farms of the world, the Allstates of the world, the Nationwides of the world, all the big insurance companies have left because of the risk we have here in Florida. Here in Florida, we've got not only coastal risk, not only large cities on the coast, but we've got floodwaters. We've got Miami every year, water encroaching further and further and further into the city. These are large risks, huge money at stake, all brought on by climate change, exacerbated by climate change, and insurance companies are not in the business of being where there's a lot of risk. And until we get this climate change issue under control, until we can at least show insurance companies that we're going to be able to, control that risk, and we're not going to have more hurricanes because of climate change, that Miami's not going to be flooded because of climate change, then Florida is going to continue to lead the country in premiums. We're going to also continue to expand our state-run insurance pool. Here in Florida, because we don't have large insurance companies willing to write policies, we have a state-run insurance pool. And everyone here is on the hook for that state-run insurance pool if it runs out of money to pay policies. So, just because you don't have Allstate doesn't mean that you're not going to be on the hook when the state-run insurance pool potentially has to pay claims. So this is something that affects all of us. I'm happy to be here, and let's make sure that we support all these efforts to deal with climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sean. The next speaker will be Ken Conklin, who's lived most of his life in St. Pete. In 2000, he started Neighborhood Nerd to provide corporate IT for small businesses. He loves nature from the shores of Tampa Bay to the countryside of the Smoky Mountains. In the last 5 years, Ken has become ill with environmentally acquired asthma. And he's here now to relate his experience with dirty air. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Ken Conklin. I own a small consulting business here in the Tampa Bay area. On December 20th, 2010, I was rushed to the hospital with chest asthma. Through all the tests, EKG, blood work, I was diagnosed with environmentally induced asthma and high blood pressure, which is a side effect of asthma. I wasn't asked here to talk about my illness today. I'm asked here to talk about the economics of this situation. On a personal level, I can't put a price to that. But I can tell you I live in my own prison. I live in my master bedroom. I live in my office in my master bedroom closet. I have weather sealing strips around my bedroom door to the rest of the house. I have my own air conditioning system to keep it filtered. Economic impact on me as a small business owner. If I get sick, I don't get sick days. I can't invoice, I don't get paid. When I am sick, I cannot go out on site and see my clients. When I am sick, I can't talk on the phone for long periods of time due to breath and coughing. Again, I pay no federal taxes as my income has dropped so much. The economic impact I see on the people. From January 2011 to January 2014, I had no insurance. All my medical was taken care of by the DAP program, which is Drug Assistance Program. Pharmacies gives me the drugs I needed, the people paid for it. I couldn't go to a doctor and see things, so I stayed at the free clinics. Government subsidized in the hearts of people that donate to the free clinic. And when I got really bad, which is approximately every 3 months, I ended up in the emergency room. Thousands of dollars were paid by the federal government in your dollars. 2014, February, I became insured. 100% of my insurance is subsidized by the federal government. My insurance has paid out over $200,000 in the last year and a half. Surgeries, tests, high-end expensive drugs being injected into my body to try to shut down the immune system. So over the last 4.5 years, I approximate $300,000. I didn't pay that. The insurance company, the federal government, and all of us paid that out of my pocket. I was handed some numbers today. 6,600 premature deaths due to this. That number is me. It scares me. If you were to take 150,000 children as a projected number and multiply it by $300,000 over 4.5 years. I came up with $10 billion. This is just kids' lives, not adults. I heard a politician say it's going to add $30 a month to the electric bill. Not looking at the whole economic circle. I would gladly pay $30 a month to save thousands of dollars in medical bill and to save my life from having a premature death. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate that personal story, and very much illustrates the importance of clean air and the impact that it has on the economy personally and statewide. Our next speaker is Reverend Russell Meyer. Ordained in 1984, he served as pastor of the Faith Lutheran Church. He received a doctorate of ministry from Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C., and is well known in Tampa for his advocacy and community building and work to renew 2 urban congregations. He also serves as the executive director of the Florida Council of Churches. Won't you please welcome Reverend Russell Meyer speaking to the moral imperative of climate change.
Welcome everyone, it's a pleasure to be with you today. The Florida Council of Churches has officially addressed climate change and environmental concerns for almost 20 years. In April, we launched the Interfaith Climate Action Network at a conference at Northland Church in Orlando, one of the largest evangelical churches in the state of Florida. Together, we're saying with the faith community across the state of Florida that we believe in the upcoming presidential campaign. Every candidate who seriously wants to be our president will give Florida a climate action plan. The Clean Power Plan that we need to develop should be part of whatever that is. The earth is the Lord's and all that is in it, the world and all those who live in it, says Psalm 24. Religion recognizes earth as belonging to God. Humanity has known this in profound ways throughout the ages. Before this age, we saw earth as immovable, as the given in which we found our wealth and well-being. Earth was bigger than us, and we could do little to change it. Things are different now. Over the last 150 years, humans have pumped trillions of tons of carbon into the air. We have put Earth into the sky. We can measure this accurately enough and trace the impact it has on life everywhere, on land, in the sea, and in the air. The excess carbon in the air has contributed to a tremendous loss of species across the planet. We have made the world less biodiverse. We have assaulted life itself trying to improve our lives. We must recognize our hand in these events and change our practices. Life is a profound interconnection of mutually supporting dynamic interactions. This rich interplay of life is so awe-inspiring that even those not given to religious sentiment feel something like what the great mystics report when looking at the wondrous network of being. Florida is such a place of life's profound interconnectivity. It holds both our deepest values and what it means to be in relationship, and it promises us prosperity in doing so. Values and prosperity are the major themes of our political life. Right now, Florida lacks an energy policy. Instead, we rely on dirty carbon for much of our energy, and we send the profits from carbon out of state. If we are serious about conserving our values and extending our prosperity, Florida will embrace its Clean Power Plan. Such a plan would shift us to using natural resources, indigenous resources, sun, wind, and wave to generate energy. This shift would accomplish 2 major steps forward in the well-being of everything in Florida. It reduces the carbon we put in the air, and it generates thousands of new jobs, whose profits get put back into our statewide economy. Fighting the Clean Power Plan is a rejection of the things we value the most and the prosperity which Florida can have. It turns our future into a gambling chip for short-term political gain and the profiteering of out-of-state industries who wish to take advantage of us. Earth and all that is in it belongs to one greater than all of us put together. Let us move beyond political gamemanship. We can generate an economy in which all Floridians flourish. Let us choose a future beyond coal and use what we have been given wisely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Mark. Our last speaker today is Frank Giacalone. He is the Florida Staff Director of the Sierra Club, who is driven over from the Sierra Club Net Zero office in St. Pete in his electric vehicle. Frank?
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dan. And let me just say that I parked my electric vehicle at the EV charging spot across from here, but there are two spots but only one plug. So there's another Chevy Volt that's parking and I'm not able to charge up. So Tampa, you need a second charging station here. I am here today to join with these wonderful speakers who've really told you all you need to know about the Clean Power Plan and the reason why it's so important to Tampa and the state of Florida. But I'm here to say that we have somebody who's from Tampa, Attorney General Pam Bondi, who suddenly has thrown herself in the way of this wonderful initiative by the Obama administration. Pam Bondi, within the last week, has filed litigation to stop the Clean Power Plan from going into effect. What's interesting is the day before she filed that suit, joining 16 other attorney generals around the country, she initiated her own suit which would stop a clean air regulation that is meant to close a loophole in the Clean Air Act. That rule says that we're no longer going to let power companies and chemical factories release an unlimited amount of toxic air, mercury, sulfur dioxide, particulates, into our atmosphere at the point of startup of the plant, shutting down the plant, or when there's a malfunction of the plant. And you know, Tampa Electric Company's Big Bend Power Plant has done that a few times, where they've shut down and then they release a tremendous amount of toxic pollution because of this loophole in the law. Pam Bondi initiated that suit and got other attorney generals to join her. So 2 consecutive days, she's filing litigation that is opposing our efforts to clean up Florida's law. It will have an impact on Tampa. It has another impact on Tampa beyond just clean air. It has the impact of saying that Florida's Attorney General doesn't think we need to do something about climate change. That's very serious because right here in Tampa, we're already experiencing the effects of climate change. Remember Mayor Buckhorn wading in deep water about a week ago? What did he say? He said that he's not going to be one to deny that the flooding that we're getting is in part due to climate change. It's already happening. If we don't do something to combat the carbon that's going into the atmosphere, then we're going to have increased incidences of this kind of flooding. The seas are going to continue to rise, and our children and our grandchildren are not going to have a future in the Tampa Bay. Pam Bondi needs to be responsible. She needs to get with the program. She needs to initiate lawsuits that will fight pollution, not fight government efforts in Washington to roll back and control pollution. It's irresponsible. The pattern that Attorney General Pam Bondi has undertaken classifies her to me as one of the worst anti-environmental attorney generals that we've ever seen in the state of Florida. She needs to withdraw her name from that lawsuit and join, now listen to this, join Governor Scott, who said that the Clean Power Plan needs to be one of our top priorities. Governor Scott appointed someone named John Steverson to become the Secretary of the Department of Environmental Protection. A week ago, in his confirmation hearing, Steverson, who is pretty bad on some things, said the Clean Power Plan is going to be one of his top priorities, coming up with Florida's state implementation plan to put that into effect. And then a few days later, Attorney General Bondi sues to stop the plan. So what is it? Why is the Attorney General fighting the governor's appointee, a Secretary of DEP, who says this is really important, we've got to do it? We have contacted the governor asking him to make a statement on this, to separate himself from Bondi. We asked the media to contact the governor and ask the same thing. The questionnaire here is the governor and Attorney General Bondi playing good cop, bad cop? Or is Bondi just going out rogue on her own? We need to know. And Attorney General Bondi needs to step back and side with the people of Tampa, with the people of Florida, to combat carbon pollution. She needs to do that now. Thank you.
Thank you, Franny.
Yeah.
Appreciate very much the speakers who've come out this morning to tell their personal stories and to share their insights and broader perspectives on the Clean Power Plan. In the upcoming weeks and months, I can assure you that many critics will step forward to say that America can't afford the Clean Power Plan. Well, they're wrong on several counts, not the least of which is that by the time it's fully implemented, the Clean Power Plan will be saving America $45 billion a year. In Florida, it will create tens of thousands of jobs, both in the development of solar energy and in efficiency improvements to our houses, our buildings, and our production facilities. Of the 10 cities in the world most threatened by sea level rise, 5 are in the United States, 2 are in Florida, and we are in one of them. And last month, James Hansen, who had recently resigned from NASA so that he could speak freely about the threat of climate change, issued a new study with 16 co-authors, all of them leading experts in the field, predicting that as a result of new research, ice melt in Greenland and Antarctica is probably going to be 10 times faster than what we had previously thought. And he predicts that if we don't act soon and act drastically, we will see a sea level rise of at least 10 feet in the next 50 years. To put that in perspective, the intersection of Ashley and Kennedy is 10 feet above sea level. That's what we're looking at in 50 years. There is a huge price to pay for doing too little or acting too late. And that's why 2/3 of Floridians, when polled, support acting on the climate change and adopting a Clean Power Plan. In closing, I want to share a story with you. On the centennial of the sinking of the Titanic, 100 years after the fact, the British Admiralty conducted a fresh review of the events of that fateful night. They concluded that there had in fact been 30 seconds after the crew of the Titanic spotted the iceberg before they acted. 30 seconds that could have saved the Titanic if the crew had recognized the danger and reacted promptly. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a 30-second window. We have the time, if we act immediately, to avoid the worst consequences of carbon pollution. We can yet save our grandchildren's future. The Clean Power Plan puts our hands on the wheel to turn away from disaster and set a course towards a future with cleaner air, increased energy security, and millions of new jobs in our nation. Now is the time to contact your state leaders, especially Florida's Department of Environmental Protection, in support of the Clean Power Plan. Write a letter to the editor. Talk to your friends and neighbors. Join our petition to Governor Scott and the DEP demanding support for the Clean Power Plan. Do it today. Do it without delay. Thank you very much.